Your Honor, we have
Maybe it'll be a sequel.
Mr. David Mobley is going to be next, and then we have several witnesses who are here. I don't think they'll be all that long, but again, I don't know how long the cross will be, and these witnesses are all the witnesses we're bringing who are part of the GBI investigation. We talked earlier about the fact that we're bringing them because they objected putting in affidavits.
I'm planning on going for at least for a couple more hours. If we are unable to conclude this evening, somebody cries uncle.
I want to correct something that he just said, Jeff. I objected to affidavits being
I'm sorry.
used
I understand.
because it was hearsay. And I can't cross-examine on affidavits.
I understand that.
And I apologize,
So
Mr.
my
Economy,
thought
you're
would
right.
be- My thought would be is, you get some 7 o'clock or sometime in the evening, we can't complete it. I've got some court in the morning, it's my chambers day, but we could reconvene after lunch tomorrow.
That'd be fine.
If that's satisfactory with everybody. Since we're all here, we'll see what we can, I can rearrange my schedule and we can complete it that time. If we're unable to complete it, see.
That'd be fine, Your Honor.
Mr. Combo, John?
I'd like to complete it tonight if possible.
Yeah, well, how do you do?
I mean, I'll go as late as necessary,
Cool.
whatever the court says.
We'll play later. All right.
All right.
So, back to the record, we had your client, I probably need to check on with him. Mr. Perry, you still can hear us? You can unmute you
Right,
here, sir. All right, you can still hear us?
yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. If you'd reach yourself back there and we'll continue. Let me call you next week.
Your Honor, we call David Mobley.
Good afternoon, sir. If you'll just step up and remain standing for me, raise your right hand first. I'm going to measure the oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give to the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Is that a seat?
Good morning, sir. Could you please state your name and spell it for the court? If you're comfortable, you may take it off. It's up to you.
David Burton Mobley, spell the whole thing.
Could you spell David, and could you spell, not David, could you spell Burton and Mobley, please?
Burton is B-U-R-T-O-N, Mobley, M-O-B-L-E-Y.
Mr. Mobley, were you ever the manager of a Winn-Dixie?
I was.
Approximately from what time?
From June of 1981 to June of 1986.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second. All right, one more time. Your name, sir?
David Burton Mobley.
Let's start. All right, let's start from there. His name is David Burton Mobley.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mobley, were you ever the manager of a Winn-Dixie?
I was.
From approximately when to when?
June of 1981 to June of 1986.
And were you the manager of a Winn-Dixie in Lanier Plaza in Brunswick, Georgia?
I was.
And approximately when did you hold that position?
I was the first store manager when that store opened. I think it was opened in somewhere around May or June of 1983. And I was the manager of that store when I left Winn-Dixie in June of June of 1986.
And so you held that position on March 11th, 1985?
I did.
And were you also the manager of the Winn-Dixie in Lanier Plaza in Brunswick, Georgia in March of 1986?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall while you were the manager at the Lanier Plaza Winn-Dixie, someone named Erik Sparre working there?
I do not, that name rings a bell, but I do not remember that.
While you were a manager at Winn-Dixie, would you ever talk to law enforcement as part of your responsibilities?
A lot.
And could you describe to the court the types of matters that would come up with law enforcement?
My store that I was managing there, Lanier Plaza, backed up to the inner city, sort of like we had check forgeries, shoplifting. I had a knife pulled on me one time. I mean, just any number of things.
Do you recall ever speaking with law enforcement about an employee's whereabouts? About where an employee was at any given time?
No,
Do you recall speaking with law enforcement about an employee's shifts or hours?
no,
Are you familiar with the murders of Harold and Thelma Swain?
I am.
And how are you familiar with those?
I remember reading about it in the paper when it happened. And along that time, my in-laws had bought some property that we had to go through Spring Bluff to get to the property. And so I just knew it from that, and I just remember it being so horrific.
While you worked at Winn-Dixie, did you ever speak to law enforcement about the murders of Harold and Thelma Swain?
No,
Do you think that an interview by law enforcement about the murders of Harold and Thelma Swain is the kind of thing that you would remember today?
most definitely.
Have you ever gone by the name Donald Mobley?
No,
Do you know anyone by the name Donald Mobley?
no,
Is your date of birth April 17th, 1954?
no,
Have you ever resided on Bishop Street in Brunswick, Georgia?
no,
Is your social security number 255083717?
no,
Is your phone number now, or has it ever been, 912-264-0707?
no,
Did you ever tell any law enforcement officer that Erik Sparre was at work the evening of March 11th, 1985?
not that I recall.
Have you ever spoken, do you recall being contacted about this case by a reporter from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution?
I do.
Approximately when was that?
Last fall, I'm not really sure about the month or,
That's okay, and that would be fall of 2019?
correct,
And did you tell him approximately what you told me today?
yes.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination?
No questions.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down, you're on excused. Please watch your step.
Thank you.
Next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, the defendant calls Ms. Rhonda Tyson, who is present and in the hallway.
Thank you. Rhonda Tyson.
This one. So I don't need to move it.
Step up, please. Remain standing, face my way. Spin around this way. Raise your right hand and first one, Mr. Pierre.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give to the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Please be seated.
Good afternoon, Ms. Tyson.
Hi,
My name is Philip Green, okay? If you will, state your full name for the court.
Rhonda Gail Tyson.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tyson. Are you currently married?
No,
Have you ever been married?
yes,
Who was your first marriage to?
Erik Sparre.
To Erik Sparre?
Correct.
How long were you married to Mr. Sparre?
Too long.
I can't understand.
Several years.
Oh, just try to speak up. I know you got the mask on. Only, you can take the mask off.
I was gonna say, can I take it off?
If
That's
you're
fine.
comfortable with
Thank
doing
you.
that. If you're comfortable with doing that.
I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Several years.
You were married to him for several years?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have any children with Mr. Sparre?
Yes, two.
How many?
Two.
And approximately when were you married to Mr. Sparre? What year?
February 18th of 86 to 1991-ish, 92.
Was Mr. Sparre ever violent towards you?
Extremely, yes.
Did there ever come an occasion where Mr. Sparre mentioned anything about having killed anyone?
Yes.
What did he say?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. The declarant is available, he could have been subpoenaed, could have been in court. This is an out-of-court statement offered in court for the truth of the declaration.
Sure, Your Honor, the inquiry is whether it be admissible in the retrial of the case, in which case we would either call Mr. Sparre directly, and he would either affirm and statements would come to evidence, or he would say something inconsistent and be impeached, or he would plead the fifth, and the statements would then come in through the witness. In any event, the inquiry is not whether they're admissible here, but whether they're admissible at trial.
No, we're here on a motion for a new trial. We're not trying the case. And I don't think the defense has really gotten that, really understood that today. We're not trying the case. The court has before it an extraordinary motion for a new trial based on DNA evidence, as I read this morning. What she has been asked to say is what a declarant said to her to be offered in court for the truth of the assertion. And that is hearsay, and it's not admissible. Very simple.
It is hearsay. I'll give appropriate weight to answer the question.
Thank you. And I can also lay, what did Mr. Sparre say to you?
Quote unquote, I will kill you like I killed those N-word in the church in Camden County.
And what were the circumstances at the time that he said that?
He was I was laying on the floor. He was straddling me on my chest with his hands around my throat.
Was he angry?
He was extremely violent at that time, yes.
Was he yelling and screaming at the time?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, did you say where he had killed those two people?
Yes, in the church in Camden County. Yes.
And when did this occur?
It was either right before I got pregnant with my daughter or right after I got pregnant with her, and she was born on July 8th of 1987.
Did Mr. Sparre have any guns?
Yes.
Did he have just one or multiple?
Multiple.
Did he wear glasses?
Sometimes, yes.
Was he a welder?
He had welded, yes. He knew how.
Did he ever work at the Episcopal Center over at Honey Creek?
Yes, he did.
And what was Mr. Sparre's attitude towards African Americans?
I object, Your Honor. Irrelevant. Has nothing to do with this case. What Mr. Sparre's has nothing to do with a motion for new trial in this case that's been filed by Dennis Perry. What Erik Sparre's view toward African Americans is has nothing to do with it.
I can respond. Yeah, sure. We put on DNA evidence this morning, Your Honor. And the state has, in their pleading and in the cross-examination, attacked the DNA evidence as saying it cannot isolate a specific individual. However, the witness this morning made clear that the DNA evidence has to be considered, of course, with motive, opportunity, means, and other evidence in the case. This goes to corroborate the materiality of the DNA evidence that we put on this morning. What was Mr. Sparre's attitude towards African Americans?
He did not like them very much.
Can you give us any sort of description of how he would show his attitude that he did not like African Americans very much? Can you be any more specific?
He would blatantly use the N-word
Did you ever
out the
hear-
windows, screaming at them. Yes.
Did you ever hear him claim to be a member of the Ku Klux Klan?
Yes. His claim.
Well, those are all the questions I have this time.
Mr. Comment.
No, we have an exhibit sticker that I can use.
The court ordinance.
May I approach the witness, Your
Yes,
Honor?
sir.
I want to show you, Ms. Tyson, is that what you go by?
Correct. That's my name.
What has been marked as State's Exhibit for identification number 8. Did you give that affidavit to the defense lawyers?
For corporate protocol purposes.
I'm sorry.
For
COVID protocol purposes, can we back off a little from it? There you go.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I'm
Sorry.
not-
All right. Okay.
I should have worn my mask.
Yes,
That was your statement, that you made a sworn statement that you
Yes.
gave to the defense attorneys?
Yes.
And that's included in that is Exhibit A?
yes,
State's Exhibit A?
yes.
Let me have that. Let me call your attention to Erik, to number 4. Erik is extremely violent. He beat me. Once when we were fighting, Erik put his hands around my throat and shouted, "I'll kill you like I killed those 2 ends in Camden County." Didn't you just testify you said in church in Camden County?
In the church. In
Why didn't you
Camden
say
County.
that in this affidavit? You didn't, did you?
Not in the affidavit, no.
But now you're saying today that he said it was in church.
Yes,
When you gave the affidavit, you just said Camden County.
yes.
Which is it?
In the church in Camden County.
Why didn't you say that?
Between the time that and now,
Yes.
there's a lot been going through my mind about Erik Sparre.
So you've put a little bit more things into your mentality about him, right?
No,
Now you said he beat you up, right? Stabbed you and cracked your cheekbone, broke your nose and all that, right?
yes,
Did you make a police report?
no.
Why not?
Because I got away from him and I stayed away from him.
Why didn't you go to the police and explain that he had assaulted you and beat you up?
Because they did nothing the last time, and the time before that, and the time before
So you had
that.
made police reports in the past, but you're saying
Yes.
the police never did anything, right?
No, I
They
didn't
just
say
let
that.
him get away with it.
I didn't say that.
Well, you didn't go to the police to try to make a complaint about the fact that he stabbed you and did all these things to you. You didn't say that in the affidavit, did you?
No,
But you had
that's
gone
not
the
pertinent to
police-
this
Hold on
case.
one second there, sir.
I object to harassing and abusing the witness.
I'm
Thank you.
cross-examined.
I've got her on call, so we're okay.
So you never made police reports, you made police reports before,
Mhm.
but they didn't do anything, right?
No. they
So
didn't.
these police reports here, you didn't make them because there was no reason to make them, right?
No, that's not what I said.
Or what'd you say?
I said they did nothing.
The police did nothing.
The police did nothing.
You said Erik worked as a welder and a ship fitter, right?
Correct?
And
Yes.
you also said that he worked at the Winn-Dixie in Brunswick, correct?
Yes.
So when he worked at the Winn-Dixie in Brunswick, what did he do?
He stocked shelves.
And what years did he work there?
I don't know his work history.
Well,
I know
he-
when I worked there, he was working
So you
there.
worked there when he worked there, right?
About the same time, yes.
So he did work at Winn-Dixie in Brunswick, right?
Yes.
At Lanier Plaza, correct?
That's where we met, yes.
Okay, thank you, that's all I've got this way.
Read it right.
Yes, Your Honor, very briefly. Ms. Tyson, did you have an opportunity to be interviewed by any agents from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation after they reopened their investigation into the Swain murders?
Yes.
And did you tell them the same thing you told the court here today?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move as Defendant's Exhibit 12, the GBI recordings, which include the recording of this witness providing testimony so the court can consider the weight, as it's determining the weight of her testimony, the response that she's given.
Mr. Conlon.
Your Honor, irrelevant, has nothing to do with this case.
Overruled, as submitted, I'll give appropriate weight. So next question.
And for the record, to be clear, it was Exhibit 13, I mistaken.
Was there a 12?
No, okay. So it's 12.
12.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceedings to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Counsel may proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Head. Can you hear me okay, sir?
I can barely hear you.
Okay, we'll work on that. Sir, is that a little better?
All right, yes, sir. That'll work.
Okay. If you will, state your name for the record.
Chad Head.
And have you ever known someone named Erik Sparre?
Yeah, he is an ex-brother-in-law.
Erik Sparre, was he married to your sister?
Thanks, sir.
Was he married to your sister Emily?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Sparre's family have any property near where y'all lived?
Yeah, we was did you say we was having problems?
I'll get there, but did his family own any property near your family?
Yes.
Okay. And did y'all ever have any problems with Mr. Sparre?
Hold on, just try this. Okay, can you repeat it now?
Sure. When Mr. Sparre was married to your sister Emily, did he ever call and threaten you all?
I'm getting an echo from your side.
Can you hear me any better now?
Yes, sir.
There we
Now I
go.
can hear you.
Okay, we'll talk to Mondo.
Okay. Sir, did you mentioned that Mr. Sparre was married to your sister Emily? Did they ever have any problems in their marriage?
Said, did he and my sister have problems?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you said? Yeah, he just wasn't a very good person. He was a woman beater.
Okay. Can you give us a little more specifics on that?
As well, he stayed on drugs all the time, and he wanted to beat on her a lot.
Okay. And did y'all have a problem with that?
Any job problems?
No, did you all, you and your brother and your family have a problem with all that?
Yeah, he was always harassing us. When they split up, he would come down, and his family owned some property in behind our place, and he would go down and he would shoot all day long and shoot back toward the house and stuff like that, and he would call us up on the phone and harass all the time.
How often would he do that?
I don't remember. A good bit. I don't remember how often, but it was a good bit.
I mean, did y'all consider him to be making threats when he go on the property next door shooting guns?
I didn't understand any of that.
Sure. How frequently would Mr. Sparre go and shoot guns behind y'all's property?
Okay, if you don't mind, repeat it one more time.
How often would he go and shoot guns behind y'all's property?
How often would he come to our house or over to that land and shoot? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I don't know. He'd probably come at least once a week, maybe every other week, something like that. I don't remember. It's been so long, but he done it often enough to remember.
When he would call and harass y'all, would he ever make threats?
Yeah, I don't remember all of the phone calls, but yeah, he always wanted to call and threaten to shoot the place up or to kill somebody or something like that. It was pretty constant. He just wanted to get her on the phone so he could, I don't know what he could tell her, but he wasn't pretty, whatever it was.
Did there come a point in time in which y'all bought a device to record the phone calls that he would make?
Yes, we had been advised to try to record him saying, threatening us or whatever, because they couldn't do anything if we just told them, hey, he called us. So I guess I think the sheriff's department had advised us to record the calls.
And was there a time when you were recording the calls and you answered the phone call?
Yes.
And what did Mr. Sparre say to you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
That would be hearsay. I'd give the perfect rate overruled.
What did Mr. Sparre say to you when you answered the phone, sir?
Okay. What did he say during the phone call that I answered? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
All right. When I answered the phone, he said, I'm the motherfucker that killed them niggers down at church, and I'm the motherfucker that's going to come and kill y'all.
Were you able to successfully record that?
Yeah, and that got recorded.
Did y'all call the police?
Yep, we called that night, and, Stanley Agee, Butch Kennedy, and Bill Smith came over to the house, and they played it for Bill, and they had brought 2 boxes in, and one box had glasses in it, one box had shirts in it. And they wanted my sister to look through them and see if she could identify any of them. And she immediately pulled out a pair of glasses that belonged to Eric, and she pulled out a shirt that belonged to him.
In the box with the glasses, were there more than one pair of glasses in there?
That, I didn't understand.
Was there more than one pair of glasses in the box?
That, yeah, there was a bunch of different glasses in the box and a bunch of shirts in the box, and she picked out both items that belonged to Eric.
And you were there and you saw it?
Yes, I did.
Did you give the recording over to the police?
I didn't understand you, man, I'm sorry.
The recording that y'all took, did you give it to the police?
Yes, we gave that to the sheriff department.
And where is your family property in relation to the Rising Daughters Baptist Church?
Where do we live? Near the church? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, it's probably, it's less than 10 miles. It's probably about 6, 7 miles, something like that already.
Okay. And after the GBI reopened its investigation recently, did you, were you interviewed by those agents?
But I didn't understand you, and I'm sorry.
Were you interviewed by agents from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation recently? Yeah, that's okay, sir. Your Honor, in lieu of pursuing this line of questions, I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, we have a witness who's logged in and is ready to proceed if we are.
All right. And this is, Ms. Ty.
This is Ms. Ty.
All right, Ms. Ty, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding to the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Counsel?
Ms. Tyre, hi, my name is Jennifer Whitfield. I'm counsel for Dennis Perry. Could you please state your name for the record?
Jennifer Tyre.
Could you spell your last name for the benefit of the court reporter?
Pyre.
Ms. Tyre, do you know a man named Erik Sparre?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you know a man named Erik Sparre?
I do.
And how did you meet Mr. Sparre?
I met Mr. Sparre back in 1998, 1999 through an ex-husband of mine and my stepfather. They all worked together on the Sydney Linear Bridge.
Are you still in touch with Mr. Sparre today?
I am not.
I want to talk to you about a birthday party that you attended for your ex-husband.
Yes.
First, could you, for the record, tell the court the name of your ex-husband?
The name of my ex-husband?
Yes.
Christopher Melton.
And the party that I'm referencing involves a threat made by Mr. Sparre.
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware. It was said to me.
About when was that party?
It was, I want to say October of 1999 or October of 2000.
And I understand that you remember Mr. Sparre talking about some violence in the past.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could, tell the court what you remember about where you were and what you were doing when that happened, when you heard that.
what did I hear?
Or where were you? What was the context of the conversation when you heard that statement?
I don't recall what even brought up the conversation. It's just a statement that was made to me, and I'm not sure who was standing around, but the statement, it was a statement that was one that you just did not forget. And I don't even, it's been so long ago that I don't know what conversation we were having for that to come up. I can't recall. But,
And if you could share with the court the conversation that we're referring to.
okay. Am I to say it word for word?
Yes, but you can use the N-word instead of the other language.
Okay.
Your Honor, I object to anything that she says that someone told her as being hearsay, and also it's irrelevant.
It is hearsay, I'll give you the perfect way. Go ahead.
You may go ahead, Ms. Tyre.
Or what do I need to do?
You can.
Not say it?
No, it's okay. You can go ahead and just you can use the word N-word instead of the actual word when you describe the conversation or describe what he said to you.
And like I said, I do not know what was being said up to this point, but Erik said to me that he had killed some black or some N-word in the past, and he would not be afraid to do it again.
At the time when you heard that, what did you think of it?
Well, I do know that.
Your Honor, what is the relevance of what she thought of
I
us?
sustain the objection.
Well, Your Honor,
Oh, I'm sorry, I hear from you, go ahead.
it's okay. I can deal with it on redirect if needed. Ms. Tyre, this was a conversation that happened about when? Do you remember when that conversation was, roughly?
Do I remember what?
Approximately when that conversation happened at that party?
It was late. It was a night party. I mean, it was a birthday party for my ex-husband and his brother, because their birthdays were so close together, and that's why they were there. So, I mean, I don't know, it happened at nighttime, it was dark outside.
Do you remember the approximate month or year?
October 1999 or October 2000.
Ms. Tyre, what was Erik Sparre's attitude towards people of a different race than himself?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Very racist.
Did you ever know Mr. Sparre to have guns?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever know Mr. Sparre to wear glasses?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you interviewed by the GBI sometime recently about the questions that I'm asking you today?
I was interviewed by the GBI.
And did you tell the GBI approximately what you've told me?
I did.
About how long ago was that?
Maybe a month ago, or maybe just a little bit over a month. It would be the end of May or the beginning of June that he came to my house, and him and I sat outside for about 45 minutes and was involved.
Ms. Tyre, did you want to come and testify today?
Your Honor, what's the relevance of whether she wanted to or not?
I do want to do what's right.
Just a second, ma'am. What is the relevance?
Well, I assume, Your Honor, based on the objections, that they're intending to try to undermine the credibility of our witnesses, and her answer to this question may inform that.
No, that is an absolute mischaracterization.
I sustain the objection. And on his cross-examination, you may readdress it.
All right. Ms. Tyre, I have no further questions for you.
All right, Mr. Dyer, hold on. Mr. Conway may, he does not. Thank you, ma'am. You are excused.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Your Honor, at this time we have some documentary evidence. We can move in and try to take care of it, be efficient. If I may call out several things, I believe that we filed, next slide, Judge. We filed on late last week the trial transcripts from the 2003 trial of the case. I understand from our call with the court and with counsel last week that they don't object to.
He was not making any objection to the official record.
Very good. We also have with us the hearing transcripts from the 2003 criminal trial, which I will mark as a composite exhibit number 13. I believe the last exhibit was 12, was the GBI recordings of the witnesses they provided.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any objection, Mr. Conlon?
None.
Okay.
Neither without objection, 13.
The next exhibit, Your Honor, would be the transcript from the February 14th, 2003 sentencing hearing.
Any objection?
None.
Okay.
Without objection.
The next would be the agreement and stipulation of facts entered between the state and counsel for the defendant on February 14th, 2003.
Let me see.
It's the eyeglasses. DNA.
No objection, Your Honor.
Submitted without objection.
And the exhibit number 14, Your Honor. Exhibit number 15, we would move into evidence the defendant's pretrial motion for exculpatory information.
No objection. Submitted without objection.
Okay. The next exhibit would be
16?
Yes, 16, and that would be the January 14th, 2000 call recording or telephone call placed from Jane Beaver to Mr. Johnson.
Is that writing or a call?
Call slip.
Call slip. Yeah. We included in the prior.
No objection.
Submitted without objection.
Okay. The next would be Exhibit 17, which is a call slip related to a call from Mr. Perry's counsel, Mr. Westling, to Mr. Johnson pertaining to Ms. Beaver.
Let me see that.
Sure.
For identifying purposes, these are documents we obtained pursuant to response to an open records request to the district attorney's office in 2018.
No objection.
Submitted without objection.
The next exhibit is number 18, Your Honor. That would be another call slip, this one from October the 25th of 2001. Call slip relating to a call from Ms. Beaver to Mr. Johnson. again, produced pursuant to Open Records Act request.
Gentlemen, we object to this on the grounds of hearsay.
Is what's the cost, what do you mean?
I can bring it to you, Your Honor. It's offered for a non-hearsay purpose.
What's
I mean-
that? It's offered for a non-hearsay purpose. What does that mean?
I can respond to the court
Yes,
if it has
sir.
any questions.
Yes.
Yeah, it's offered for notice to the prosecution that Ms. Beaver was trying to reach out to them on multiple occasions, patterned her reaching out, asking for statuses to the case and the reward money that she was after. And we included that as one of the issues we raised in our extraordinary motion for new trial. And this shows that the prosecution was on notice, that she knew there was a reward and was actively seeking it. And as my next document will show, she was actually paid that money following the conclusion of Mr. Perry's trial. That information was never disclosed to the defense, as the hearing transcripts bear out. It also addresses, well,
Right, it is hearsay, I'll give you the appropriate way to get some data objection.
thank you. May I approach the bench?
Yes.
Thank you. The next exhibit, Your Honor, exhibit number 19, exhibit number 19, another document received pursuant to open records request. This is the ledger from the Camden County Sheriff's Office that shows that a reward payment amount of $12,000 was paid to Jane Beaver on the date of April the 3rd of 2003.
No objection.
So move without objection.
Just a few more, Your Honor. Number 20 would be an email chain correspondence between Mr. Johnson and Donnie Barentine, name that's come up today. The email chain dated April the 18th to April the 24th of 2002. Again, produced pursuant to Open Records Act request.
No objection to this.
So move without objection.
I think just for housekeeping, Your Honor, I think I did not give a number to the transcript from the sentencing hearing. I'll give that as exhibit number 21, if that's okay with the board.
Objection?
No.
Okay?
Everyone's good about that?
And just to circle back to the trial transcripts, I think is it sufficient for everybody's purposes, including the court, that we simply filed them into the record last week? I don't need to mark them as an exhibit now. Very good. That's it.
Your Honor, just so the record is clear, Exhibit 12 that was introduced was the flash drive that had the recordings of the GBI interviews that we were provided pursuant to your order that the state turn over exculpatory evidence to us in advance of this hearing, and just so it's clear on the record what that evidence is, and that that was the only exculpatory evidence turned over to us in advance of this hearing. Thank you.
Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we have no other witnesses at this point.
Mr. Conner?
No witnesses, just argument, Your Honor.
All right, as to argument, we have obviously a legal issue. Did you want to kind of argue that at this time? What about you counsel helping the court out in the nature of briefing this issue?
We'd be happy to do that, Your Honor.
Mr. Holliday,
Your Honor,
Robson, you were handling this matter, is that correct?
speaking with Mr. Holliday, time is of the essence. We need to get Mr. Perry out of prison. We'd be glad to take some time and brief. You know, this issue was sprung on us 4 days ago. It was never mentioned on July 1st at the scheduling conference. It was mentioned on this past Friday, Thursday, for the first time. And it's a little bit of a surprise. And it's a little bit of a surprise because the precedent cited, Fran, does not stand to support it. It sets the standard by which a waiver may be made in a death penalty case, post-trial, post-conviction remedies. But they aren't met in this case, clearly. And we think the court can, with a minimum of research and review of the record, realize that it does require a contract, as Mr. Economy said. It does require both sides to agree, and it requires the defendant to be fully briefed of the consequences. The transcript cited by Mr. Economy has the judge at the trial court discussing waiver of the appeals from this trial, not post-conviction remedies, not post-trial remedies, not habeas, not extraordinary motions, nothing in the future. And it was never discussed on the record. Also, the order, which does discuss that, was never approved or agreed to by the defendant, Mr. Perry. He never signed it. He never did a contract on that part. And I think you'll find that if you look at, in addition to Brandt, which is a recent case, if you look at Rawls v. Holt, which is the 2018 case, I think it's 304, Georgia 774. You'll look at that, you'll see Justice Boggs was very clear. The conditions and circumstances and vibrancy of the fully informed discussion that must be had to constitute a waiver. While we'll be glad to brief it.
Well, obviously, I understand the position.
But we got to get Mr. Perry out.
If it's out, well, that's what I'm asking you. When would you get that brief to?
Tomorrow morning.
That's unreasonable, Your Honor.
You're the one that waited to tell us.
I mean,
Hold on a second. He's going to get the brief to me tomorrow morning. When this week you can get it to me?
Friday.
What's wrong today? We're doing it on Wednesday.
And Mr. Holliday, Mr. Conrad will be proposed, your prospective proposed orders this week. And can we make it, can we make it Thursday, Mr. Bowman?
Whatever the court says.
Thursday, and I will, make every effort to enter the order. If y'all give me the proposed orders, your briefs on the waiver issue, by Thursday, I would make every endeavor to enter an order on Friday.
John, I have some exhibits that I have not, that may be duplicative, but I want to tender these and I'll show them to the opposing counsel. I think they're all in the record already, but I want to be sure that they're in the record. Takes exhibits 1 through 7.
We have no objection to your honor. We agree they're already all in the record.
Roger,
Robinson, although Mr. Ford has given me your comment on Thursday, and sooner that you all give me the brief, more focused I'll be on Mr. Condo's brief.
We've got a stab at it ready, and we just need to update it.
Your honor, I will say that we're a little bit of a disadvantage since they're raising it as the defense. Other than what we heard from Mr. Economy today, we've seen nothing. But as Mr. Robinson said, the key here is getting Mr. Perry out of jail, so we'll be ready whenever you need it.
All right, gentlemen. Ladies. Anything else? Okay. Anything from the state?
No, Your Honor.
No, your honor.
All right, thank y'all, and safe travels, everyone.